time on Beyond Stardom, 5 superstars who go above and beyond to earn their place on the red carpet. This 6'2" Daredevil qualified for the final of the World Poker Championships in 2004. Having a handy backup career as a card sharp must have provided Ben Affleck with some comfort during his lean years as an actor. After peaking as a leading man with blockbusting roles in Armageddon and Pearl Harbour, the hard times kicked off with Gigli in 2003. Co-starring his then-fiancée Jennifer Lopez, the romantic comedy tanked at the box office and earned Ben and Jen Razzie Awards for Worst Actor, Worst Actress and Worst Screen Couple. His 2 other films of the year, Daredevil and Paycheck, also attracted dishonorable mentions, as did his supporting role in 2004's Jersey Girl. The next year, he had to suffer the indignity of seeing his supporting role in the Daredevil spin-off Elektra left on the cutting room floor. He had to console himself with winning the heart of the film's star, Jennifer Garner. The pair were married on a Caribbean island in June 2005. By 2006, he'd become something of an industry joke, while his best mate Matt Damon's acting career was starting to go nuclear. He finally stopped the rot with his role as 50s Superman star George Reeves in Hollywoodland.
I certainly feel it's nice to have a movie that people kind of like in general, you know. I try not to be too focused on any kind of outside approbation, but certainly it is nice. I mean, you know, it's better than having a movie that people don't like.
As well as earning himself a Golden Globe nomination for Best Supporting Actor, he was happily settling into the role of father to baby Violet.
And just finally, how does fatherhood agree with you?
It agrees with me much more than I ever thought it would. It is really, really wonderful, and it's definitely the best thing I've ever done.
Having staged an acting comeback and fathered a child, the next challenge on Ben's list was learning to play pool for his next film, the dark action comedy Smoking Aces. And there was plenty of pressure from director Joe Carnahan to make the shots.
Yeah, I had a bunch of dialogue to do and try to get through, and he wanted to cut in and out of it. And he said the only thing that was important was the pool shots and knocking a few balls down to cut in and out of it. So as a consequence, it was virtually impossible for me to hit one pool shot. At one point, I think I set the world record for missing the easiest shot in a row. I just kept setting it up right in front of the whole brick. So that was fun, and it really boosted my ego.
He may not have gone into the shoot intending to give up smoking, but after 1 week of playing chain smoker Jack Dupree in Smoking Aces, it wasn't hard to kick the habit. Next on the agenda was taking hold of the reins to make his directorial debut with the suspense drama Gone Baby Gone.
Yeah, for me, certainly, it was much more time-intensive to be a director. It took me 2.5 years. That was very exhausting. It was stressful. It was also very satisfying and thrilling, and I got the chance to work as a partner with a lot of really extraordinary artists and actors and technicians on the movie, so it was a completely different experience.
Winning a Best Screenplay Oscar for his co-writing efforts on 1998's Good Will Hunting helped him keep a tight grip on the project by co-writing the script with Aaron Stockard and Dennis Lehane and casting his kid brother Casey Affleck in the thriller's lead role.
I hope he does. I can't wait. I hope he takes it all the way. He can run, go with it. I hope he gets to be. I hope they all follow him.
It turned out to be a wise decision, with most critics declaring Gone Baby Gone a success. While Peter Travers from Rolling Stone magazine wrote, the brothers Affleck both emerged triumphant in this mesmerizing thriller. This alien exterminator was reportedly first choice for the role that went on to win Holly Hunter an Oscar in The Piano. The story goes that Sigourney Weaver subsequently fired the agent who turned down the role without consulting her. Whether or not that tale is true, there are few people in the film industry who would dare to mess with the 6-foot actress who was born Susan Alexandra Weaver in New York in 1949. She became Sigourney after reading F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby at the age of 14, and got her start in movies with a walk-on part in Woody Allen's Annie Hall, which paid her the princely sum of $50. Her breakthrough role came in 1979 in Ridley Scott's claustrophobic science fiction horror Alien, as the sole survivor of a space mission to investigate a non-human transmission from the moon. In the hands of James Cameron, who directed the sequel 7 years later, her character, Lieutenant Ellen Ripley, became the arse-kicking vigilante prototype for every action-adventure heroine since. And in 1997, at the age of 48, Sigourney was paid a whopping $11 million to star in the 4th installment of the Alien franchise. Ever since then, she has been badgered by die-hard fans desperate to see a fifth.
You know, we talk about it, but, we're not, it's not sort of the first thing on our agenda. We're both busy with other things. It's not that we don't want to do it, it's just that the chances of our doing it are probably slim. I mean, I think it depends on so many things, but I think sequels, I don't know, they have to be so original, I think, to be worth doing. And nobody wants to do it unless it's really going to be original.
Sigourney's commitment to originality has helped her build an extraordinarily broad body of work that crosses all genres and defies attempts to pigeonhole her. Her frequent forays into comedy have included playing a tyrannical boss in Working Girl, a cellist possessed by a demon in Ghostbusters, and a con artist in Heartbreakers, while thrillers like Copycat and Alien have confirmed her as a mistress of suspense. She has also starred in a slew of serious dramas like Ice Storm, The Year of Living Dangerously, and Gorillas in the Mist, in which she played real-life conservationist Diane Fossey, who was brutally murdered in 1985. Since then, Sigourney has become honorary chairperson of the Diane Fossey Gorilla Fund and devotes much of her time to environmentalist causes. In 2006, she used her acting talent to draw attention to the issue of autism in a story about a woman whose daughter is killed in a car crash. As research for the role, she spent almost a year meeting people with autism.
I think one of the reasons I wanted to do the movie was that it was not about autism. It was about a woman, a very unique woman who also happened to have autism. And I think that's what I found most appealing about it. As for the preparation, it was took me a long time to even understand how to prepare for this part, because every person with autism is so unique.
Later that year, she was out promoting the Truman Capote biopic Infamous, in which she got to play 1950s socialite and trendsetter Babe Paley.
I met Truman Capote when I was first starting out in New York, when he was, toward the end of his life. He was a bit intimidating, and so it was a wonderful opportunity for me to really actually meet Truman in the guise of Toby Jones, who gives such a brilliant performance. And he's so charming and he's so witty, and I played a woman, Babe Paley, who I think truly confided in him. And with him, she could really let her hair down and be herself.
Now pushing 60, Sigourney still cuts it as a fashion icon, scoring invitations to haute couture events in Paris.
We're thrilled.
And she certainly isn't showing any signs of slowing down on the work front.
On the one hand, I think it's always hard for actors to find interesting roles, whether they're men or women, and at any age. But I think what you have to do is look for interesting stories, and then, you can always make the role interesting, because people are interesting. So I think that independent film has helped the situation, and I think it's, you're an actor, just sort of get out there and do whatever's coming up. I think it's best to just keep moving.
As a teenager, this celebrity prankster was convicted of third-degree burglary and sentenced to 3 years probation and 180 hours community service. No doubt his brush with the law had its roots in Ashton Kutcher's incredibly stressful home life in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, which included having to deal with the divorce of his parents and the health emergencies of his twin brother David, who suffers from cerebral palsy. While studying biochemical engineering at the University of Iowa, he was spotted by a talent scout that persuaded him to enter a modeling competition. He ended up appearing in ads for Calvin Klein and Pizza Hut before moving to LA and landing the role of Michael Kelso in That 70s Show. The comedy series crowned him as a heartthrob and helped land him roles in films like Dude, Where's My Car and Just Married, which introduced him to Brittany Murphy. The young starlets immediately hit it off and soon became an item off-screen as well as on. At the film's premiere, Ashton showed off his romantic side, confessing to the media that she was a little bit better than perfect. It wasn't too clear whether Ashton was talking from his own experience or from a purely theoretical point of view. Either way, the relationship with Brittany was over within the year, and at the tender age of 25, he shocked everybody by hooking up with 80s icon Demi Moore. The age differential of 15 years gave gossip magazines their golden goose. The fact that Demi's cradle-snatching conquest neatly coincided with her big-screen comeback in Charlie's Angels Full Throttle also did wonders to promote her profile. While most commentators were branding the romance a fling, Ashton was waxing lyrical about love.
You know, I think it's just been like a lifelong journey of learning about love. I think that's like, I really kind of feel like that's what we're here for. It's like our entire life is based on learning about love. I don't think you ever stop learning. And I think as long as you have a desire to continue to learn, I think it will come to you in many ways.
During their courtship, the pair became devotees of the Kabbalah Center. The controversial California-based organization teaches the principles of a form of Jewish mysticism to followers, regardless of religion, race, age, or gender. And in September 2005, they were married by a Kabbalah rabbi, with the blessing of Demi's ex-husband, Bruce Willis. Although Bruce admits he found it tough to come to terms with Demi's new relationship at first, he and Ashton have since become friends and are frequently photographed together on outings with Bruce and Demi's 3 daughters. Ashton's willingness to embrace stepfatherhood and marriage to an older woman may seem at odds with his prankster image as host of the television series Punk'd, but in fact he is well used to taking high levels of responsibility. Punk'd, which began airing in 2003, was not only Ashton's own idea, he also produced the show. And in 2004, he upped the ante by producing his first feature film, The Butterfly Effect. He certainly didn't take it on lightly.
The responsibility that comes along with that is pretty intense. And also just the responsibility of, I personally, I take it personal when I do a movie. If someone wants to give money and they want to have me in their movie and they believe in me, I'm going to do everything I can to pay that person back. And so the responsibility of delivering the movie on time, getting everything shot and as good as we can, and doing it for a price was difficult. But I think we may have done it. We'll see.
He's also risen to the challenge of being a role model.
I was watching the news one day and they were talking about how young kids were starting, smoking. And they were saying that a lot of it was because, these celebrities were, smoking and this and that. And they show a picture of me with a cigarette in my mouth, and I thought, oh man, I know it's bad for me, and I kind of went, you know what, if it's bad for me, it's my body, I can do what I want. And then when I started thinking about somebody else taking it up because I was doing it, I got really, it bothered me a little bit, and I knew I had to stop doing that.
With such a sensible head on his young shoulders, he may seem in danger of growing old before his time. Thankfully, his animated turn as Elliot the mule deer in Open Season put him back in touch with his inner child.
I just played with it. I pretended like it was like a little kid that wanted to sit at the big kids table and just kind of, and had a little too much sugar. And so I just played that for what that was for me, and that was the voice.
This desperate housewife was nearly crushed to death by elephants while on safari with her daughter in Africa. Well accustomed to dealing with wild packs of photographers, Teri Hatcher was able to dodge the stampede and go on to become one of the highest paid actresses on US television. Her fee for playing clumsy illustrator Susan Mayer in the hit ABC series reportedly adds up to just under $300,000 an episode. Not bad for a performer who'd spent the previous 6 years appearing in straight-to-video releases and guest starring in the odd episode of various sitcoms. The daughter of a computer programmer and a nuclear physicist burst into the public consciousness back in 1993 as Superman's #1 admirer in Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman, opposite Dean Cain. But after starring as Bond girl Paris Carver in Tomorrow Never Dies, her career took a nosedive. Since its resurrection, thanks to Desperate Housewives in 2003, the ex-cheerleader from California has been making up for lost time, grabbing every opportunity afforded by her profile with both hands. In March 2006, she brought the issue of sexual abuse to the fore in an interview with Vanity Fair by revealing that she had been abused by her uncle from the age of 5. Having kept quiet about it throughout her adult life, she came forward in 2002 to assist prosecutors in indicting her uncle for a more recent molestation that led his 14-year-old victim to suicide.
I think coming forward about what went on with me with abuse and being able to put that man in prison it has been, selfishly, I guess, for me, very healing, very helpful to that particular family. But in a much broader sense, I get thousands of emails from women across the world who have been inspired to come forward to prosecute their abusers, to reach out for the help that they need to heal. And that's just, it makes me feel like I really did something right by being able to help people.
In the wake of that revelation, Teri launched a book, Burnt Toast, which she hoped would help women strike a better balance between taking care of their families and taking better care of themselves.
My mom had sort of role modeled for me, out of love and generosity, that women would always take the worst of things. If there was a plate of toast and one piece was blackened, that we sort of just instinctually go, oh, I'll eat that. No, don't eat that. I'll eat it. I'll take the worst. And I often find myself, the lunch that I eat is, the pretzels that are left over in the back seat of the car. And it just seemed like there has to be a better way to balance the love we want to give to our kids and our family without no care for ourselves. And so I think burnt toast and the idea of not eating it and not being a part of the burnt toast syndrome for women is to take better care of yourself and find that balance in your life.
At the book's LA launch, she was surrounded by her supportive co-stars.
Oh, I was, sitting next to Teri between scenes all those days she was trying to meet her deadline back in October when she was pecking out this book. And so I promised her I'd be here when it came out. And plus, apparently it's really, really good. I saw it and I didn't get to read it because it's not even out yet, but it's really a slick production. The illustrations are really cool, and Oprah loves it. So, it says enough for me.
Aside from her socially motivated extracurricular activities, she certainly hasn't been averse to exploiting her profile for more overtly material gain. However, trying to keep all of her sponsors happy at once has proved a delicate balancing act. Early in 2008, one beauty company threatened to sue her for promoting another company's products, while Teri maintained that she hadn't contravened the terms of her first deal. Aside from pushing makeup, Teri also has her own line of clothing and merchandise. In 2007, she signed on to become the new face of US fashion label Badgley Mischke.
We have a really incredible history. Way back when I was doing Lois and Clark, which was really my first hit, I guess, in the business. The first time I went to the Emmys, the first gown I ever wore on the first red carpet was a Badgley Mischke gown. And it ended up really hitting, the press liked it, and the show was popular, and it was really good for both of us.
And label co-designer Mark Badgley couldn't agree more.
Somehow she does it all, and she is able to be absolutely glamorous and gorgeous through the process, so it's a big treat to us.
Biker gang, the Hells Angels, were reportedly foiled in their attempt to murder this rocker when the boat they were using to reach his Long Island home sailed into a storm. Mick Jagger will forever be known as the lead singer of legendary rock band the Rolling Stones. But over the decades, he's also taken time out to pursue a solo career. In 2007, at the age of 64, he finally got around to releasing The Very Best of Mick Jagger, a 17-song collection of his favourite solo efforts. Over the years, he's collaborated with the likes of Bono, John Lennon and Lenny Kravitz. And although he's been making music for almost 50 years, he still gets excited about writing new material.
Well, you're always pleased with what you do, otherwise you wouldn't do it, and so you get, you do get kind of, when you've been working on something and then no one's really heard it, then it's kind of fun to play it to other people, and you get excited and you want to know kind of quietly how they think about it, So what do you think? No, you know what I mean? That's what you ask your friends.
And he's always looking for new avenues to explore. As well as setting up his own production company, Jagged Films, in 1995, Mick has appeared in a number of acting roles. He's also written songs for various film projects, and in 2004 he won rave reviews for co-writing the soundtrack to the remake of the 1960s classic Alfie, in which Jude Law reprised the role made famous by Michael Caine. Perhaps his success was due to the fact that he could relate to the film's main character.
He is a guy that has a lot of girlfriends, lots of love affairs, but he doesn't have much else going on. And he doesn't have, he drives a car, he does a repetitive job, doesn't really have any interest in anything else. He's not interested in anything, as far as I can work out in the picture, except seducing more women.
These days, Mick Jagger's face may look as though it needs a good iron, but since first swaggering onto the stage at London's Marquee back in 1963, he has developed a reputation as an incurable womanizer, with an addiction to having affairs. He has 7 children with 4 different women that he knows about, one of whom collaborated with him on his solo album Charmed Life. While he is showing no signs of sinking into respectability on the relationship front, he was induced to go down on bended knee for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II in 2003 to receive a knighthood. While many Rolling Stones fans saw his acceptance of the honour as a reversal of his anti-establishment stance, others questioned whether Mick's poor record on the charity and humanitarian front made him a worthy recipient.
I don't know. It's not for me to say whether I deserve it or not, is it really? I'm not on the committee of giving knighthoods and honours to people. I have no idea. I mean, you hope to be worthy of the things. You're happy to get the things that that are given to you. You don't campaign for them. You don't ask for them. You don't. But if people want to give you things, you're grateful and thank you very much. And hopefully it doesn't make any difference to you. Only good.
Among those least impressed with Mick's new title was songwriting partner and fellow Rolling Stone Keith Richards, who was quoted as saying he did not want to take to the stage with someone wearing a coronet and sporting the old ermine. But Sir Mick, who has rarely been known to be troubled by self-doubt, put Keith's criticism down to sour grapes.